Alright everyone, today we're going to be talking about Warlocks and the Burning Crusade. We're going to be talking about obtainable gear and what you really need to get into Karazhan. A lot of these pre-raid best in slot guides just go over the absolute best in slot before you go into Kara, but you really don't need all epics to go into Karazhan. I mean, that's just not how it's designed. You can use blues, you can get in, you can do great damage, you can down bosses, and then you can get the epic gear. That's more of how it should be, and honestly, that's probably about how it's going to go down with Classic. Alright, so the first slot we're going to be talking about is the helm. I really recommend the Hood of Oblivion. This is just a really good helm. It's got a lot of damage and healing on it. It's obviously got your socket for your meta gem. Like, it's a really great helm. It comes from Arcatraz, so that does kind of suck to have to run Arcatraz over and over again, but you're going to be getting Shatar rep anyway, so it's a really good helm to go for. There are a couple of other options here for helms. As soon as I hit 70, I would probably do this Touring Gurfiend and I am to get the Evoker's Helmet of Second Sight. This is a pretty good helmet too. It's not quite as good as the Hood of Oblivion, but it's a pretty good helm, and it just comes from a simple quest. So that's something. There's definitely some other quests that you can knock out to get other helms. There's a lot of helm options, but honestly, the Hood of Oblivion's a really good helm. While we have tons of options for helmets, next, on the other hand, the Brooch of Heightened Potential is just kind of a hands-down winner when it comes to necks. This neck comes out of Shadow Labs, so it's actually pretty easy to get. Shadow Labs, I personally enjoy running Shadow Labs, so it's not a really hard dungeon, and it's very farmable. It comes out of normal Shadow Labs, so you can just run it over and over while you're getting your rep up, and you'll just come across this neck, and it's a fabulous neck. It's got the hit rating, which hit rating is going to be a big thing that we need. So I really like it for the hit rating that it has. Alright, next we're going to talk about shoulders. I've got the Spalders of Oblivion here as the shoulders that I would go for. They also come out of Shadow Labs, like the Brooch of Heightened Potential. So when you're farming the brooch, you can also farm for these shoulders. They also pair with the helmet to give you a 4-set if you get that. So I think these are great shoulders. Another solid option for shoulders would be the Mantle of Three Terrors from Black Morass. So honestly, if I got either of these, I wouldn't mind it. The Black Morass shoulders don't have sockets, but they have 12 hit rating, so they're alright, but I believe the Spalders of Oblivion are slightly better. So yeah, that's it for shoulders. I mean, those are two really great options. So for cloaks, I would say the Sethic Oracle Cloak is a great option. It comes from Sethic Halls off of Talon King Icus. So I think that's a great cloak. Just grab this cloak and you'll be good to go. So for chest pieces, we have a bunch of options. The Robe of Crimson Order is actually really good, but it's a BOE world drop, so that's going to be pretty expensive to get a hold of. But what I'm recommending is this Akanai Anchorite's Robe, probably saying it wrong, that comes from the quest Everything Will Be Alright, which is an Akanai Crypts quest. So that chest piece is actually really good. It's got hit rating on it. It's got sockets. It's just a great chest piece. So that's where I would go with that. As you can tell, there are a lot of chest piece options. The Incanter's Robe is not a bad robe. It comes out of Botanica. If you're just looking for another option. There's the Robe of Oblivion that comes off of Murmur and Shadow Labs. So I would say this Akanai Anchorite's Robe would be the best first thing that you could go with. And it's got hit rating, so it's probably the actual best of these. But at any rate, there's a bunch of chest options, so that's the one I would go with for now. Bracers of Havoc are actually BOE tailoring bracers, so you're going to have to either make them yourself or buy them. That can be an issue that you have to make them, but they're just so much better than the alternatives. You can farm heroic ramps for Crimson Bracers of Gloom, but outside of that, you're going to want to use the Bracers of Havoc if you can get a hold of them. So next we're going to look at gloves. The Gloves of Oblivion are actually amazing gloves with 20 spell hit rating and the 26 damage and healing. Like, these are really good gloves. And they come out of Sethic Halls again, so not a very hard dungeon to get them out of. So definitely very farmable. There's a few glove options, but honestly, like this is heroic Arcatraz, heroic ramps. Incanter's gloves out of Steam Vaults isn't bad. So if you do end up over hit cap, then you could consider these. Let's see. 14 spell crit, 29 damage and healing versus 26 damage and healing. Yeah, so the Incanter's gloves would be nice if we were over hit rating. So that's from Steam Vaults. So that's just something to keep in mind. First, I would get the Gloves of Oblivion, get hit capped, and then look into either the Incanter's gloves or finding some gloves and raids. So that's it for gloves. All right, so next we're going to talk about belts. The belt I've chosen here is the Sash of Serpentra. This sash comes out of Steam Vaults. So when you're farming to get Exalted with Cenarian Expedition, so you can get this awesome ring over here with hit rating on it, you can grab this belt and have a belt that's got 17 hit rating and ready. Like, this is definitely a good belt for going into Kara. I just love that it's got hit rating, damage, and healing. Like, it's a solid belt. Next, we're going to talk about legs. This Kadagger's Kilt. I love this for a caster DPS pants. They're just great legs. There are a few leg options. So we're looking at the Kadagger's Kilt as the kind of... I like Black Morass. It's very farmable. It's an entertaining dungeon to me. Like, that's just what I would go for. There are some other options like these Devil Stitch leggings out of Botanica. They have a lot less damage and healing. Kadagger's Kilt's better than that, in my opinion. Are these, Yeah. Kadagger's Kilt's just better. What is this? 12 hit rating, 39 damage and healing versus 36 damage and healing. So, if you need hit rating and you just can't find it... No, because you got sockets. Yeah, Kadagger's Kilt's just the way to go. Like, these legs are just really good until you can afford to get, like, Spellstrike pants or something. Definitely Kadagger's Kilt. Alright, so that sums up pants. So let's move on to feet. So these Shattrath jumpers, they are just really good boots, and they come from this Into the Heart of the Labyrinth quest. So they're not hard to get, and 29 damage and healing, 2 open sockets, like, they're just really good boots. The only other option really would be the Sigil Lace boots out of Arcatraz, but I hate running Arcatraz. Instead of 29 damage and healing, you have 20, and then you get spell crit. So it's kind of 9 damage and healing versus 17 spell crit, and that can go either way. So I'm going to do the easy quest, grab these, and then my next boots will be from raids, or maybe the Frozen Shadow Weave set. So boot-wise, Shattrath jumpers are just such an easy, nice boot to go for. Yeah, so next we'll talk about rings. So the best bet for rings would be getting Exalted with Scryers for the Seer's Signet here, and getting Exalted with Cenarian Expedition for the Asheron's Gift. These two rings are super good, and they're very obtainable, but when you first start out, you're going to want some decent ring options that aren't those. So the Evoker's Mark of Redemption is a Shadowmoon Valley quest, which would be Dissension Amongst the Ranks. So I would do Dissension Amongst the Ranks in Shadowmoon Valley and grab that. The other ring that I would recommend is this Mana Storm band that comes from shutting down Manaforge Aura in Netherstorm. This is also a good ring, and it's just something that's obtainable. If you want to buy this Band of Dominion, that's a very good ring, but it's a BOE world drop. So yeah. Other than that, you can farm some heroics and get plenty of ring options as well. But I would just get Exalted with Cenarian Expedition and Exalted with Scryers and grab those two. And then just start working on your Kara ring and go from there. So yeah, these will be the two blues. Mana Storm Band and the Evoker's Mark of Redemption. Those will be your two rings to use to get into Kara initially. And then you can work up from there. So next we're going to talk about trinkets. I definitely wanted to mention the Quagmirian's Eye because it's a super good trinket. But this trinket comes out of heroic slave pens, so we'll have to farm that slowly and eventually get our hands on the Quagmirian's Eye. But in the meantime, if we get revered with Scryer, because we're going to be trying to get there for the Seer's Signet anyway, we could get revered with Scryer and get the Scryer's Blood Gem, which has 32 hit rating, which is awesome. So Scryer's Blood Gem is definitely a great one. And the other one is this Ziri's Gift. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's Shatar revered. We're going to be getting revered with them anyway to be able to run their heroics. So it's a great second trinket to go for. Other than that, I mean, you're looking at like heroic Old Hillsbrad foothills, and yeah, another thing to mention would be this Shafar's Nexus Horn out of Arcatraz, but I hate running Arcatraz over and over again to try to farm for this. So that's why I'm going to say Scryer's Blood Gem and Ziri's Gifts are the easy route to go for, and then work on getting a Quagmirian's Eye. And then from there, you can get trinkets out of raids or work towards something out of a heroic. So that's just that's where I'm at with trinkets. Scryer's Blood Gem and Ziri's Gifts. So as far as weapons go, I would say the Tirok Shadow Staff off of the final boss of Sethic Halls, Talon King Ickis. This staff here is a great staff to go for, but it is heroic Sethic Halls, so you're going to be locked out. You're going to be farming that daily. That's going to be a pain to get. So really, outside of that, you're going to be wanting to go with a main hand offhand combination because it'll give you the most spell damage. And the Great Sword of Horrid Dreams, which comes out of Shadow Labs, this is just a super amazing main hand weapon. It's just kind of a lot better than the other options that are out there. So I would definitely recommend this for your main hand. As far as offhand goes, there are two decent options. The Lamp of Peaceful Radiance here comes out of Arcatraz. It has hit rating, crit, like it's just a great offhand. Another option is this Starheart Lamp, which comes out of Black Morass. It's got hit rating, damage, and healing. I mean, it's also good. I personally prefer Black Morass. It's very farmable. It's an easy dungeon to do. So yeah, I mean, both of these are great options. Lamp of Peaceful Radiance is probably a little bit better, and I would go with that. Farm Arcatraz and grab that. So lastly, we're going to talk about wands. The Nethercore's Control Rod is the one that I would go for first. This one drops out of Arcatraz again. Sounds like we're going to spend a lot of time in Arcatraz. But this one has hit rating on it, which is great because we need a lot of hit rating. So Nethercore's Control Rod, that's a great wand. The Black Stalk is kind of what you should be looking for. But the Black Stalk comes out of Heroic Underbog. So we're only going to be able to do that once a day until we do get lucky and it drops. So definitely hit up Heroic Underbog and work towards the Black Stalk. But until then, you can rock this Nethercore's Control Rod, and that'll get you through. So I hope going over these items really helped you figure out what you want to wear going into Karazhan, because I don't think you need to just go out and get the absolute best of the best, farm up 5,000-10,000 gold to get the entire Frozen Shadow Weave set plus the Spell Strike set, and just have all epics going into Karazhan. You can definitely down bosses in this blue gear. I'm 202 is the hit cap, and I don't even have gems or enchants, and I'm at 150, so, or 147. So yeah, I mean, this is a pretty great set to go for, and this will be a really easy setup to actually obtain. So yeah, all right. Well, thanks for sticking around and watching, and I hope this helps you guys. If you get a chance, could you please like or subscribe? It would really help the channel out. Thanks again.